You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Of course, it always helps if you turn on your mic. Right. It's Thursday. It is June 12th, the year of our Lord 2025. And oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends. I'm tired all my lifetime. No help from my friends. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? I had one. Had a 2013. And I discovered they're a turd. They're a turd burglar, turd bird. They're a bad car. Funky and creepy and fussy and expensive, but it had a kick-ass engine. Until the oil cover started leaking, to which the Mercedes-Benz dealer said, "Oh, we can fix it for you easy, $5,000. After I came back and I said bad words, BZ said bad words. Bad boy. Hey, let's see who's in comments right now. Looks like we have the Phantom. Looks like we had Canada, Heavy Haul. Looks like I got in there and said, hey, hi. Looks like we have Jeremy Hansen. Looks like we have Mission Ready Men. Looks like we have Mike Pasqua. The Phantom came back. Canada, Heavy Haul. A cosmic bard with a cosmic beard says, hello. Jersey Joe says, good evening. Swear jar. Yep, exactly. And Nick Labinson say, wasabi. What's up? I haven't even done my intro. It's a Thursday. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I don't. Maybe I won't. One of those nights where, you intend to go here, over here, and then you think that you're going to be going over here, and you don't at all. And then you end up going over here with all the things that are happening, because this is a popping off kind of day. 60 people watching live. Don't know where you all came from, but I'm happy and glad to has you. Also, let's see, Phantom, Mike Pascal, look at Reaver. He swears all the time. Yeah, that's true. Brian is in the chat. Great to see you. Brian also says, konnichiwa. Hi, konnichiwa. So, konnichiwa, everybody. Thanks to one and all. By the way, tonight, shh, don't say anything. Don't say anything. It's Jersey Joe.
I don't curse.
Don't say anything. It's Rowdy Rick.
I do curse, and I don't hide it.
So,
New Jersey, we don't speak that way.
That's right. No, I'm not going to go there. I went to New York. I worked
to hear that.
WMF. Yeah, I know. First, I worked at WMFO. That was a sad fucking case. And then I went to New York. That was even sadder. I found out about Federal Fridays and a host of other things. Speaking of feds, now, I hope that I took enough care so that I don't get dinged for playing this shit live, because I have a live feed going on right now, except it's not live. It's not even Memorex. And so I paused it for a couple of minutes, maybe 3 or 4 minutes or so that, with crossed phalanges, maybe I don't get it live. But just when I thought I was going to do a show on X, Israel has to have the tenacity to go in and bomb. Hey, why didn't I get the video of that? Isn't there a song somebody made called Bomb, 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 Iran?
Yeah, it was McCain that was singing it on the floor once.
Darn it. I should have gotten that. So anyway, let me turn up the audio and see if there's anything going on right now. I don't hear anything. If I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this in M for monitor mode. Oh, first I have to turn it on. Dummy.
So Al Jazeera just reported that in the last 3 minutes. Breaking news. New strikes reported in Tehran.
Oh. Well, for those of you who are not aware, and that wouldn't be many of you, let's turn this audio off and let's kind of start at the start. Oh, damn it. My session of Flight Radar has timed out because I wanted to put this on the big screen. They'll see the big board. And here I find it rather quaint to observe that, okay, here's Israel over here. There's a plane over Jordan, Iraq, not much happening at all. Here's Iran. Here's Tehran. And I should point out that there's it's like wafting the wind, like, and Iraq, and Lebanon, Jordan, and all the stuff that's really important, that's really, really critical. I'm sure their transponders are, Flight Dog 75, kill the fucking transponder, would you? Roger. Transponder killed. I'm sure that's exactly what those guys did. So if you're not aware, this happened, and I believe I've got some audio for this as well. This is Tehran. And it looks like Israel has made good on bad gateway. Come on. Times of Israel, don't do this to me. There we
Bad
go.
robot.
Yeah. Bad robot. So I have to go back in and tell them that they can have ads and all that stupid stuff. Refresh. U.S. told Israel it will not provide offensive support for Iran strike. And then Israel conducted an Iran strike. But we knew this was going on. Anyone happened to watch? I think it was on Hannity. And Ted Cruz was on Hannity. And I've been trying to find the video, but I cannot. And Ted essentially said to Iran, if we discover that you harm one little hair on an American's head, I can't phrase it the way he did, Senator, but he said essentially bad things are going to happen to you. Oh, here's a link. Let's open this link and sing. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's the linkus that I want us. Let me copy this. Thank you very much. And I will go over here. And in the meantime, while I plop that thing up,
real quick in your chat, you got someone saying that they're already blaming Trump. Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's Trump's fault. You know, we have nothing to do with it. It's Trump's fault.
Well, anything and everything happens to be Trump's fault.
Jeremy, yeah, it was a surgical strike on, I know of at least one nuclear site, but also a pretty good surgical strike on, what is it, the Royal Guard? Hit them real good.
Yeah, they wiped out the Royal Guard leadership and something else, too.
Some big Royal Guard building I saw. All I know is I brought some marshmallows for that place.
So yesterday, people were hearing that, BZ is going to be lucky because all this stuff is going to happen on his show. And it turns out that, okay, shoot, it happened on my show. I'm still trying to go one more over here and plots this in because Rick was kind enough to.
You might want to check the other one I just sent you, but I think that's the other one you were looking for too.
Okay. All right.
I'm not positive though. It's very recent, so it probably is like 11 minutes ago recent.
Okay. So I've got this stacked up. And let's see if I can play this. John, hit it.
Documented that we have for quite a long time now known where the real problem is in the Middle East. And in fact, the president adequately described it as the axis of evil. I guess my question is, how many times do we have to prove that these people are blowing up people now? Never mind if they get a nuclear weapon. When do we send them an airmail message to Tehran?
And here we go.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomb Iran. Bomb, 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 bomb. Hey, man.
Not the greatest video in the world, but by God, I requested it and Rick sent it to me. There's another.
Did you ever watch Mythbusters?
Oh God, yes, because those
Jamie
two
Watt,
guys
Big
were
Boom.
in the Bay Area.
Jamie want Big Boom.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all I keep thinking.
Oh, yeah. Heck yes. The other part
Joe
of it,
wants Big Boom.
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. 90 people watching live right now. Wow, cool. Long time ago, I was a part of EOD. Oh, let's catch up on this. Where is Sean? That's a good question, because don't think I didn't ask him. So I think he said, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. He said that grooming his salamander was much more important. I'm pretty sure that that's what he said.
And that was just a euphemism.
Well, yeah, you know,
I don't want to tell you what he's really doing.
grooming the salamander.
I was throwing up for a long time.
Yeah, that was, it wasn't a pretty picture. British surgical strike on Iran nuclear sites. Zelda. Hey, Zelda. BG Rick. And only with less R's. R, matey. Even let's go back here and see if there's any further information. So we saw this coming, right? Everyone saw this coming. We knew that it was going to be
Breaking news. Message from the Supreme Leader. Message from the Supreme Leader, Khamenei. I have it right now.
Okay. 100 people watching live. Thanks to everyone.
Iran's Supreme Leader releases message.
Okay. This is what happens.
Here it is. I'm going to read it to you right now.
Okay, please
Breaking
read it.
news. This is the message posted on Iranian state media by Iran's Supreme Leader. I'll put it on the screen. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. Here it is.
Okay, waiting.
I like Lookner, but
Jesus.
Here is Supreme Leader Khamenei's message right now. Following the Israeli regime's crime against our beloved country this morning, Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution, issued a message to the great nation of Iran. The text is as follows. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the great nation of Iran, the Zionist regime at dawn today opened its dirty and bloody hand to a crime in our beloved country and revealed its evil nature more than ever. By striking residential centers, the regime must expect severe punishment. The powerful hand of the Islamic regime's armed forces will not abandon him, God willing. Several commanders and scientists were killed in the enemy attacks.
Oh, come on. It's
their
martyred.
successors and colleagues will immediately resume their duties.
Here's this long, drawn-out drama.
With this crime, the Zionist regime...
Okay, blah, 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 blah.
They draw out their messages so dramatically.
Yeah.
The evil. It's like watching a 1960s sci-fi movie, something like Straight Out of Flash Gordon or something.
Let me go back here also. Still, nothing new. Very quiet. Quiet. Too quiet.
The plane's running away.
Now, there's a person in chat who made a comment. And before I display the comment, let me ask you guys. Do you believe that Israel was right or wrong in taking this particular step with regard to Iran, and or should the United States have been involved in some fashion, or should we be involved in some fashion in the future? Gents?
You want to go, Rick?
I was gonna say, I guess I'll go first. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't do it before today, because when you've got the leader of Iran saying you better hit us now because we're gonna have a nuke soon and then we're gonna come for you, you kind of really didn't give them a choice. I have to admit, I understand why Trump didn't get involved, because he's the one been promising no new wars, etc. But I am a little surprised that we're not involved, especially because, this is us still trying to clean up Joe Biden's mess. The only reason Iran is feeling froggy is because the mullah got flush with cash under the Biden regime.
And Obama.
Well, yeah, but Trump took a lot of that away. So the fact that Biden came back in and basically opened the floodgates again, I just, as soon as I heard them say, if Israel does not strike us soon we will have nuclear weapon and we will come for them. I was like, yeah, you guys just fucked up. I'm just gonna be honest. You just fucked up.
I'll make a statement here in a bit, and I was responding to this guy. Crazy Jews are starting World War III, and okay, I don't mind putting things up in chat here, depending on whether or not people get particularly foul. Even though that's my job here. Okay, it's not the job of anybody else. Everyone realized their limitations. That having been said,
I'm disappointed in you, sir. You did not say your copyrighted line. It's my job, man.
It is. It is. And you guys know what that's from, right? Miami Vice.
Yes.
The guy, and I see this guy's face. It's like the rest of my life. I can see your face, Rick, whatever. I can see your face, Jersey, whatever. And I can't remember that guy, but he said, clear as day, he's my Yobming. And I never forgot that shit. Anyway, to the gentleman who is in chat, and I may be chastened or not, but I've been all over social media for the past week or so, jumping onto people's X's and Facebook. I don't know why. It's like I feel the Jersey Joe within me going out and saying that, I know this will be fun. I'll go to someone else's site and start shit stirring.
I would never.
And pouring caustic chemicals all over their comments, and we'll just see what happens. And then Jersey Joe gets block.
Nice. I love that. I'm going to throw a comment and then block you. I'm so brave. But to answer your question that you asked, if I may, Israel has been backing all these attacks against Israel for how long now? So Israel,
1948,
so Israel smacking Iran finally. I had wished that it would never happen. I don't want to see war. I don't want to see death, destruction. But out of all the countries, Iran's one of them that deserves to get smacked around like a baby back bitch. So,
well,
do I think we'll be dragged into it? I got a bad feeling if Israel's attacked by Iran, it's not going to be a pretty attack back, and then we're going to have to, one way or another, get involved.
Well, we can make a lot of prognostications and say, who's to say that all during this time we haven't been shipping weapons to Israel, or perhaps we haven't shipped some prior that they've been using. One of the things that they must have had in some fashion, either given to us some time ago or, I don't know, perhaps recently, are the bombs whose job it is to bury deep and then explode. The names of them, sadly, escape me. But you need a very difficult, a very efficient as possible, a penetrator bomb to get into the depths at which apparently Iran has dug for their their nuclear programs and whatnot. So, Rick, do you have any thoughts? Because I will weigh in just a moment, sir.
I mean, the only thing I can say about all of this, and I'm just going to be completely upfront with everybody, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, we've basically been in the beginnings of World War III as soon as Russia went into Ukraine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for us to say we don't want to be in it because we're already in it. It's been a proxy war up to now, but it's still basically been World War III. I think the proxy may be about to go away, but the fact that everybody's like, "Oh my God, Israel's trying to start World War III." No, you know who started World War III? It was Obama years ago. The first time Russia felt froggy and didn't do anything.
No, we sent blankets to Crimea, and that was about it, I believe.
That was kind of that was the beginning salvo of World War III, in my opinion. When Russia realized they could go ahead and finish things off was when they watched us withdrawing from Afghanistan, Keystone Cop style. And then now you have Joe Biden, basically saying, "Oh, well, this money belongs to Iran." Does anybody remember what Iran looked like before the mullahs? Because I do. I've seen pictures. It looked a lot like the 70s United States.
Yep.
Yes, it very much did. And the reason I say that is because my brother, my older but not oldest brother, was a very smart cat. And I made reference to him
Wait a
earlier.
minute, there's more than one of you?
There's 3 of us.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, be
God,
prepared to be depressed, very depressed. I'm the youngest. My other brothers are in their late 70s, early 80s, that sort of thing. My dad died at 88, so I guess that's telling you something about my brothers. Having said that, my mid-brother, who is slightly older than me, is an electrical engineer, very smart dude, started his own company called MCE, Motion Control Engineering. It's an elevator company. The 2 guys came in that own it and put just a massive influx of cash, came from Iran, and they came from a wealthy family and made their money under the Shah when things were relatively civilized. And then, of course, we had the Iranian Great Revolution, and all the people with money vamoosed and got the hell out of Iran, including those 2 guys. They brought the big infusion of cash, started the business. Don, shit. I shouldn't have said my brother's name. My brother's name is Edgar. What I said, just rewind the tape and don't remember. Anyway, they provided all the cash, and they had been in Iran, and they said it was a beautiful place at one point until, and there you have it. So, having said that, the one thing that I wanted to state was, and I'm not very popular by saying this, is I made a comparison, and you guys let me know if it's even remotely close. Someone was getting on my nerves, and I said, imagine
next time.
What's that, sir?
Just at me next time.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I said it's similar to Delaware. Let's say Delaware and the rest of the United States. Let's say it hated Delaware, and let's say Delaware had any number of wars with the United States, and that's a situation similar to Israel being surrounded essentially by its enemies and the ocean on another side. And I couldn't think of a better analysis than that. Maybe one exists, but is that even remotely close? I can't think of Israel. Israel isn't surrounded by any friends. Jordan is come see, come saw. They run hot and cold sometimes. But the rest of the individuals and countries, Syria, Lebanon, all surrounding, just not very friendly at all. And what I tried to say is that in terms of size, that's like Israel against everyone else. And then I went back, and this is where the nuclear explosion occurred. And this is where I made this occur to someone. Let me see if I can go down, because, man, the dude that I was talking to popped off. And I said, in my opinion, after October 7th, Israel should have gone into Gaza, because all the people that were in Gaza decided that Hamas was, in fact, their duly elected government twice. They wanted that. It's like San Francisco. You want to operate in that fashion? Okay, cool. Hashtag consequences when bad things happen. So I said Israel should have gone in because of the one day I'd like to go to Israel, maybe when it calms down a bit. I'm not so sure that that's ever going to happen, certainly not in my lifetime. I said I would prefer to have seen Israel go in and just gotten the hostages back, as many hostages as they could possibly. That in itself would have been, a CQB adventure never before experienced, and it probably was. But in order to pay for what occurred, I said, everyone in Israel, in Gaza, should have been everything there, and people, whomever, should have been turned to rubble. And then you go back in and you bounce the rubble. And then perhaps some other individuals will think better about going in and trying to screw with Israel. Was that bad? Jersey Joe, was that bad?
No. But these liberals are pussies. They can't take opposing opinions. They can't take anything that goes against their ideology. And once you challenge their ideology, they pop off like a 5-year-old that just lost his candy bar.
I mean, I'm guessing that was harsh, but Rick, was that harsh? Too harsh? I mean,
No,
I perhaps should have metered myself a little bit, but these days I find it difficult to do that.
No, I stopped metering myself a long time ago. It's kind of pointless. I mean, I spent half of the day today, trying to explain to people that have no clue what it's like to be involved in a protective detail or run a protective detail, what you do when somebody's rushing the stage.
Oh, but he didn't rush the stage. He didn't do nothing. He was peaceful, waiting 15 minutes quietly.
Oh, my God. Well,
seriously, that's what I was told today. He waited 15 minutes quietly and calmly and did nothing wrong.
Since you guys went there, I guess of course we're all going to go there. Let me bop in here and see if there's anything new that this guy happens to be saying.
Probably not. By the way, it's my job main guy was Izzy Marino.
Ah, okay. Thank you. And that deserves the first of the night. Oh, speaking of which, and I can't think of the actor's name, began with an H. The white
Olga
dude.
Scootercaster, who is a journalist in New York. This is an unrelated story. She reports that 9 detainees have escaped from Newark ICE facility, the Delaney Hall detention facility.
What? Oh, that'll be a story in no time, guaranteed. Anyway, do you guys remember the movie Scarface, 1980?
Yeah.
Right around in there. Okay, and remember the detective, the kind of tall, bald detective that was attempting to I guess, negotiate with Scarface, and then ended up getting shot. He was a detective on the take. That guy, that actor, passed away either today or yesterday at the age of 82. I still like Scarface. I still watch that thing.
Say hello to my little friend.
Say hello to my little friend.
I've never had to say that.
I never have had to say that either. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, you know what? This was grand. This really doesn't have much to do with anything right now, but I wanted to play it just because I like this guy's gumption. This guy is in your state.
I saw
Joe.
that today.
So
The governor's comment today was the best.
All right. And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail.
I like this
If you
guy.
flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we're going to run you down and put you in jail. Inside a mob rule, a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave. In our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street.
And there's a story about that too that I'll get to. Go.
If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and then jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have.
Love it.
If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop. You're watching what's taking place out there. You're seeing police officers that are being attacked, being spit on, being put in harm's way just for doing their jobs.
Molotov cocktails.
You're seeing ICE agents that are being targeted for doing their jobs. And you're seeing obstructionists that are doing all of this, standing in the way of law and order.
TMI, Cosmic, TMI.
That's what you would want to have every law enforcement officer all throughout the United States say.
BZ, did you hear our governor today?
Now hold that thought. Chat about it. Chat quietly amongst yourselves while I go see if I can discover that video, because now everything that I have in here that I had in the proper order is out of order. And let me see if I can find
I think the sheriffs are having a battle down here in Florida, because making comments like that, you got Sheriff Grady. I mean, pretty much everybody knows Sheriff Grady.
Oh, Sheriff Grady is cool.
It seems like the sheriffs down here like trying to one up each other and stuff.
Oh, Sheriff Grady is super. He's super.
Well, you're looking for that. Let me bring up one of the ladies I was talking to today. Tried justifying the senator disrupting, unruly, however you want to call it, during that press conference.
Yeah, I'll play
because Trump once wrongly said that Hitler gave a speech at the Eiffel Tower.
That was the justification.
What?
Yeah. That's
okay. All right.
Oh, and the dogs and cats comment.
Cosmic Bard.
I don't think my chat's loading properly. I keep trying to go over there to see the things that you're showing, and I'm not seeing them. But whatever.
I haven't showed Ron, but I will show him shortly. Cosmic Bard. I like that comment. And second of the night. Thank you, Cosmic Bard. Mission Ready Men, again, thanks to all the people who are here. And Cheetah, he came in. We have a few sheriffs like that in Florida who use Media Oppo so well. And Mission Ready Man says, this guy's not playing. Oh, I completely believe that guy is not playing. Biggest balls competition. Completely. Grady is awesome. But let's put this up. Because at first, I don't know why. It's probably because leftist law enforcement has been pounded into my brain housing group for such an incredibly long time. And at first I thought, oh, AI? Okay. This can't be. Yeah, it is. Oh, so that's why this is wonderful. Listen up.
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida. And we also have a policy.
See, that's the policy that should be installed in every state, everywhere. In California, Oregon, Washington, etc., New York, you would be buried under the jail, under the prison.
Yeah.
It's pretty much.
It's getting ridiculous with these quote unquote protests. If you want to protest on the side of the road and make your hoopla, fine. I have no problem with that. When you start blocking people and interfering in their lives, that's not protesting. That is not protesting at all. You're interfering with people's lives. And they have had incidents where they block these highways and people are trying to get to hospitals and so forth. Every single one of them should be charged with attempted murder if that happens.
Oh, not completely agreed with that. I'm still trying to find.
So I heard a rather harsh take on this whole California thing, and the longer it goes on, the more I'm starting to agree, if I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I don't, at this point, this is what these people there are voting for. let them face the consequences of what they keep voting for. It's the only way they're ever going to learn not to vote for the shit. I mean, and I get it that not everybody in California is voting that way, but the majority of them are, or they wouldn't keep having all. They wouldn't have sanctuary city shit. They wouldn't have all these. Well, we're not going to cooperate with ICE. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. You know what? If that's how you want to run your state, I don't give a shit. Just don't come crying to me when you need help cleaning it up because you're not getting federal dollars to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm waiting for out of California. Well, you need federal money to fix up the areas that were damaged by protesters. Fuck you. Do it yourself. And, you know, you got California bragging, oh, we bring in the most money. Well, then why do you have to ask for federal help all the time?
Well, yeah. Oh, and the other thing that I thought was most astounding, I can find this one and put it up. I think I mentioned this in reference on Tuesday, but here's the actual video. Can you imagine the fucking gall that this bitch has to say this to the people in Los Angeles? You know, a large, voluminous, fuck you must be said to her in unison.
About beautifying our city and bringing our city together. And so I am calling on business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders to come together downtown in the next few days to talk about how we are going to clean up the city. This is about beautifying our city and bringing our city together. And so I am...
Okay, not her, not the people that helped to instigate and continue this farce, but she wants the people who were impacted, the business people.
She wants the victims to clean up the messes of
created by the suspects
that did it.
Yes.
As she sat and did nothing for days and watched that city burn and get destroyed, that she wants the victims to clean it.
Yeah, the gall of people like this to make statements like this, fairly much beyond redemption. Then I've got
I just got stabbed by a robber. I better go patch myself up. I mean, it's not the responsibility of the criminal or anything. No, I got to do it myself.
Sure.
These people, I don't understand any of this anymore. I don't really. I mean, like this thing with the senator today. We're all watching this in real time, and each side has a completely different impression of what they're watching. How is that even possible? When you're watching a guy basically trying to bully his way towards the front of a room, screaming a question, who's been stopped and been told that he needs to stop by what is obviously security personnel, and then he starts trying to push past them. I know what I would have trained my people to do. He's lucky he didn't get dead.
Well, you see, because and the same woman that blames Trump for that Eiffel Tower miss, blames the law enforcement because they were not wearing uniforms.
Well, he wasn't wearing his Senate pin either, and that's the thing. Nobody understands what those pins are for. They think they're just decorative. No, you know what? Every detail member, every Secret Service member, all of them are trained to look for those pins. That's one of the easy. That's like wearing a badge. That's how they identify people in crowds. That's what they're for. Because everybody that's armchair quarterbacking this shit has never tried to pick somebody out of a crowd before. I guarantee you. Because they're like, how did they not know that was the senator from California? One, because he's the junior fucking senator. Nobody in California even knows who the fuck he is yet, for one. For two, he wasn't in a suit. He wasn't wearing his pin. He didn't even say who he was until they started pushing him to the back of the room. And then they're like, well, once he said who he was, they should have just let him go. You've obviously never worked security before, because anybody can say, do you know who I am? And one second of hesitation means you or the subject you're trying to protect could wind up dead.
Yeah, but even if they know, okay, he is a senator, that does not give him a right to barge into a press conference. This isn't a facility. He doesn't have a right to go in there and start mandating shit. He is not in a monarchy. He is not king. The Democrats do not have a different rule set. You go into a place, you act like a jackass, you're going to get treated like a jackass.
Well, exactly. But that's my whole point. Even after he identified himself as a senator, once he made that detail go hands-on with him, I guarantee you, because this is the same thing that I used to train my people to do. Once you go hands-on, I don't give a shit who it is. You get them out of the space and you get them detained and under control at all costs. And then you figure out who the hell they are.
Well, an adjunct to that was this. I learned very early in my career, if I have to put my hands on you, you're going to jail. Because I watched, even back then, in the 70s and the 80s, and sometimes in the 90s, I watched people who said post-event that, and especially defense attorneys, the DAs would say, if you thought this was such a heinous crime that you had to put hands on my client, on this person, and the question would come from the DA, the intake DA, they would say, well, then why did you let him go? I can actually learn. And it's, if I had to put my hands on you, you went to jail, period, end of statement. Because then that question never came up. And the other thing is, unless I had actual PC to arrest you, I didn't put my hands on you unless you put your hands on me first.
Well, one thing that's always, and I taught my daughter, and it was taught to me, when you are dealing with law enforcement, there is no sense arguing, fighting with them on scene, because you are going to lose 100% of the times. You start pushing back against any law enforcement, you are going to lose. He could have walked out of there calmly, taken to higher ground, and then called for hearings and pulled in, what's her name again? Naomi or whatever.
Christy Noam.
Pulled her into the Senate and chastised her there where he had the power. No, he walks into it. He was in a federal building with a federal press conference and acted like a 5-year-old. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. I'm sick and tired of the excuse, and I'm constantly getting it thrown in my face. You're just blindly following your God and Savior. What the fuck do you think you're doing when you make excuses and prop up people breaking the law? We've watched a House member assault law enforcement. Now we have a senator fighting with law enforcement. We have a judge blocking law enforcement. But it's Trump. It's Trump's fault.
Well, I found what I wanted to put on stage, and let me see if I can arrange this right.
Sorry about that, BZ.
That's okay. This is everybody, I'm guessing, has seen the one from the original angle. This is a slightly different angle. This is Senator Alex Padilla. Now, in Sacramento, California, always spelled it with a K, Alex Padilla was involved in the bail bond business, and his brother were involved in the bail bond business, and that's where they made their buccarinis in Sacramento. So their business was a hop, skip, and a jump from the main jail. So nobody knows who Alex Padilla is here. And as you all have said, if you can believe him, he said that he was at some other shindig down the hall.
He was supposed to get a briefing 2 rooms down, and the briefing was running late, and he heard she was in the next. She was 2 rooms over, and he's like, "I'm gonna go over there and ask some questions." Yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah, and then you walk in.
If you really wanted to ask questions, you would have your security pin on, so everybody in the room that was in charge of security would have known who the hell you were. You would just sit there and wait until you could talk, not made a fucking scene.
Yeah, suit, pin, lanyard, ID. You didn't have to go there, but the point was to make that point, and the point was to draw sympathy, and the point was to draw attention, because all of this crap is allegedly going to step off this weekend, tomorrow, or this weekend in some fashion.
I think it was also to pull off the negative press that was going against California between the mayor and the governor with everything with these riots. This pulled, everybody was talking about that, and now they're not.
Yeah, that's not going to calm down.
I got another view for you, too.
Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have a question for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
I also wanted to know about typically how many of our ICE agents have been docked.
Like I said, they were a hell of a lot nicer than I would have been.
Oh, boy, is that the truth. Especially in light of all the forces that are arrayed these days against Republicans and conservatives. They've been very, very, they've been very careful with this guy. You know, how are you possibly supposed to tell who a senator is without any form of identification whatsoever? And truly, to let this guy come this close from a security standpoint, that's kind of a big fail. Now, and Rick, in particular, having done that kind of work, plus been in law enforcement, you're to guard your principle. And this was, I don't know, this was, let me just say, disappointing.
Yeah, I would say that if there were any of my team that were stationed outside of this room, they would have gotten a reaming when this was over. How did he even get in here?
Yeah, this is what I would consider to be a very lackadaisical response. This is a sort of a less than excited response. You know, the other thing is, sir,
if you could, I got a video that I put up on share.
Okay. All right. Hang on.
I want to play this, and I want everybody to listen specifically as she's talking. Because I heard, no, he was patient and all that. As she is talking, he starts interrupting. And you can hear it perfectly in this video.
Okay. Let me play it. And or you can play it from your side.
Ready?
Yep.
Sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want
now,
to
hang on. Can you back that up for a second? Back that up. I want everybody to see where he got to before they stopped.
Single person.
Yeah.
That is way too fucking close. It's a good thing he wasn't actually a bad guy and was just there to try to drum up sympathy for his cause, because that's way too fucking close.
But the fact is, he interrupted her because I heard, no, he is polite and this is, no, he interrupted. He disrupted this press conference. And nowhere have I seen, and maybe I'm wrong and someone can correct me because I've been wrong today and I've admitted it. If you could prove me wrong, I will admit it. But I don't see anything that says a senator has a right to storm in to a press conference and mandate that he has to be heard.
I mean, well, to be fair, these are the same people that, think that oversight means they can just go into any facility they want at any time with no notice. So it's not surprising that.
No, I am not surprised that they think it, but I haven't seen any rules. Yes, do they have a right to go into these federal facilities and check?
No.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they do, but there's a process to it.
Yes, there's a process.
That's the same thing when they were standing outside of the Department of Ed and everything else, and they were doing their photo ops when Doge was in there and they weren't being allowed in, and they were like, "Do you work for such and such?" And you're just standing there because you're allowed to go in for your oversight as long as you've gone through proper channels to do it. This wasn't a proper channel situation.
No.
Also, the thing that nobody's talking about is this man is part of the oversight committee that she does. All he's got to do is say, since you're not responding to my request for information, I'm going to convene a hearing and you're going to come in. You're going to.
And that's what I was saying earlier, Rick. That's all he had to do. And you know what? He would have probably come out looking a lot better than he does right now.
And she also indicated, if I'm not mistaken, that following this incident, she came up to him. She said, if I remember correctly, they sat down for about 11 or 12 or 10 minutes, something like that, and said that, yes, we'll sit down, we'll meet at another time, not here. And if you had any questions, why didn't you just give me a call or say that you'd like to see me in committee or say that you'd like to make an appointment to come in? No, this isn't about corresponding to norms. This is all about making a statement. As I say, it's kabuki theater of the absurd. The timing is fortuitous for this. It's a distraction. It's another, I can't think of the guy's name, and it's really not important, who had the cane and the beard, and the black dude stood up, and he objected, and he decided,
Green.
these are, Yeah, all green. These are just
well, here's the thing about that though, because you're right. It would have been, but then God said, "Ha, I have other plans," and now everybody's talking about Israel instead. So, because I think this was his way of trying to get on the 2028 stage early and get name recognition. Because, like I said, nobody knows who he is, and he knows that, and that's part of the reason why he did exactly what he did. He showed up in plain clothes. He violated their own security protocols because that's why they're supposed to wear those pens to public events, so security knows who they are. That's what they're for, and he didn't have it on. Whether he was there for a briefing or not, the fact that he apparently either didn't have it on his person or chose not to put it on is a direct violation of their protocols.
Well, these are all choices. I completely agree with you. These are choices. It's a choice not to wear a lanyard. It's a choice not to display an ID. It's a choice not to have your pin. It's a choice not to be wearing a suit. If you want to be a senator and make some kind of a representation of yourself, this is absolutely the wrong way to do it. 250 people watching live right now. Let's continue with this on the stage. This is the other view.
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
I
thought he was slammed. Violently slammed.
Yeah, not really.
Looks like he was placed on the ground.
He was not slammed. He was placed.
Yeah. I want to point this out. Some people don't know the difference between the two. There are FBI agents and there are FBI police. Now, what FBI police were doing here for security, I'm not sure. FBI police are the individuals who, like the people, like the Capitol Police, for example. They guard buildings. They're sometimes on security, not very frequently. These are the people that, for example, you'd find at the Quantico Academy. When I went there, they would be at the gates. They would drive around the vehicles for perimeter security, that sort of thing. These are not agents in the standard terms in which you would think. These are individuals who provide security for the FBI, for buildings. And again, this is just kind of weird for me. I've been seeing some Homeland Security's been providing security for things that I would not expect, including the FBI, including for Trump. The whole thing in security and protectorate details is all kind of strange right now. And I can't necessarily say why, but I do want to delineate between FBI agents. You see the FBI on there, but it's FBI police as opposed to the agents themselves. Now, whether that's a huge difference that really anyone particularly cares about, I will say they don't get the same kind of training. They don't go to the Quantico Academy. They go through FLETC and a couple of other areas if they're involved in that sort of thing. Let me go to
all that I've been seeing.
So they get the same kind of training as NCIS agents. That's interesting.
Yeah, now it may have changed. When I went there, there were only two agencies that went to the FBI Academy, the FBI itself and the DEA. All others went to FLETC. Now, FLETC used to be in Brunswick, Glencoe, Georgia. And that's the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. And then my understanding is since then, they have at least two other training centers. I think one of them's in Arizona or New Mexico, someplace like that. So they don't all go to FLETC. But at the time, if you were other than FBI or DEA, you went to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, including Border Patrol, USBP, all of the other individuals such as that. So Padilla, he's clear. He's a Mexican lover of illegal invaders. He went out of his way, in my opinion, to create, his own kind of semi-violent kabuki theater of the absurd event. In an attempt, I think he's trying to get sympathy and kind of pattern the LA riots. And he's shot. Well, if you listen to anybody who talks about him or he himself, he's shocked, I tell you, that he pulls his way.
He wanted to be Jorge Floyd.
I guess.
But so after watching this video several more times, because I have to admit, I was working on all kinds of stuff today, so I was late to this party. Has anybody else noticed he seemed to be kind of slurring his speech a little bit? Was it just me?
Oh, now that's very interesting. That's an aspect I hadn't considered. You know, perhaps that deserves. Oh, shoot. Going back here. Let me pull this back and see if I can replay. And I've got the sound. Let me put this on the stage. I've got the sound all the way up. And folks at home, I'm going to turn it up all the way on my board. And if you need to turn the volume up on your side while you listen, folks, I'm going to replay this all over again. And then, Joe, send me that video that you had before, and then turn your sound all the way up. And we'll see if we can pick any kind of a vocal slur or something of that nature from him. I'm going to start this now.
Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
That's just a petulant little stupid child.
A petulant man-child who thought he was king for a day.
On your back.
Okay, here comes the slam.
If you let my hands go,
Oh, that's such a slam.
Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
Well, that's like, who was it a couple of weeks ago when they were trying to do this at one of those facilities, and everybody on the right was trying to say Chick tried to body slam one of the agents, and I'm like, that wasn't a body slam, that was a body check. I mean, yes, it can be considered assault, but it's not like she tried to pick him up and throw him down.
Yeah, well, if you take a look at it, and that's what I was going to ask. With everything we've been seeing from the left, when we look at the New Jersey incident, this riots, the rhetoric that they do, that they've stepped up massively, what is their end game in this? I mean, is it a coup? Is it an insurrection? Is it they're trying to kick off a civil war?
I can tell you, I think part of it, at least how it started, they were wanting to hopefully redo the Summer of Love from 2020, because that, I'm going to be honest, from a lot of people that I talked to, that's part of the reason why everybody just gave up and voted for Biden, because they just wanted the shit to stop. And you can hear it. You can hear that that's part of their plan, because they've been saying that for the last 4 days. If you want the shit to stop in California, you got to make ICE go home. Fuck you. But the thing about it is, this was during George Floyd. This was when, dude, there were people that were dying that were, of a certain color. And it still was kind of an open wound for everybody, because this was still not too far removed from the Obama administration, when we had the coolest, blackest president ever, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So it was kind of still an open wound for us, for a lot of folks. Not me. I was looking at it going, dude was doing crazy shit. He probably should have just behaved. But so they're thinking that they can get the voter fatigue again going on. I don't think that's going to work this time.
I don't think it's going to work anytime either.
But I have also heard basically, who was it? Somebody who just the other day was saying that Gavin Newsom should spin up the rest of the California National Guard to oppose the ones that Trump has federalized. So that is basically calling for a civil war. And now that you've got a district judge who has said that those National Guard soldiers that have been federalized should disregard Trump's orders, that's yet another basic call.
Yeah, but he also stayed his order pending an appeal, which has already been filed.
Oh, I know, but still.
And that's where this came from.
He knew this was going to go on, and he stayed his own order. So that says he knows he's full of shit on his order.
But the point that you made, Rick, was that which I think you said earlier, in terms of let's have warring law enforcement agencies and see what we can get out of that. Let's see what kind of a bump we can get out of that. Because will these people, in fact, war with the federal National Guard coming in, and then Newsom trying to make some kind of a power play against that? I think, as you, the assumption was, or the ploy may have been, to see if we can have warring units against each other, and how far can we push them, and what kind of a borderline do we draw? Will they respond?
Yeah, I just got me scratching my head, because I saw that tweet and I can't remember who did it.
I think it was Kinzinger, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know it was in here somewhere. Sometimes I just got to spin up the hard drive a little harder.
Yeah.
And now people are comparing Newsom to Andrew Jackson. Not Andrew Jackson.
Jefferson Davis.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the American media maggots, tell you what, I'm not going to do any promos or anything like that tonight. I just want to remind everybody of this since it's about the top of the hour right now.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And my sincerest thanks to everybody who is here tonight. I very much appreciate it. But this is an example of the American media maggots going out and burying the lead at the very beginning. The headline, this is from CNBC, says Trump ordered to return control of California National Guard to Governor Newsom. Judge Charles Breyer, brother, by the way, of Stephen Breyer, SCOTUS, who retired at least a year ago, I believe. Now, that's the top of the headline. Yeah. You have to go 2 paragraphs down.
At least 2 or 3. It's always at least 2 or 3.
Because then there you discover that a subhead is Judge Charles Breyer stayed his order from taking effect until Friday afternoon, tomorrow, to give the Trump administration time to appeal his decision, which it quickly did. So the purpose, the point of this is to blow up the skirts of leftists and make them think that this is what is truly going on, because most people, sadly, read the headline and then don't discover that the lead that really makes an import is down below 3, 4, 15, 16 paragraphs deep into some kind of a story.
Sometimes 17 pages later, depending on what you're reading.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
You mean like Gavin Newsom out here doing a press conference just an hour ago? The Constitution sets forth its limit, and that includes the President of the United States. Today, the people won.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Not really.
He's out. Did this whole situation hurt Newsom for presidential run or help him?
In California, it helped him.
Yes.
Everywhere else, I think they're all laughing at him right now.
Well, the other thing is, in terms of the rest of the states, I think I heard somebody say this, but it was a while ago, like last weekend. And the thing that we, as people who are interested in journalism and podcasts, radio, disseminating information and such, is that we are all over politics like a dirty shirt, because that's part of our job. That's our basic Mark 1, Model 1 interest, is to cover these sorts of things. But I think if you're not currently in a leftist urban rat cage in a blue city or a major blue state, most of everyone else really doesn't give a shit what happens in Los Angeles. And that would be true. And to your point, Rick, that you mentioned earlier, which I was going to respond to, and then because I'm a moron, I just, look, dog, flip it, look, squirrel. And so I got distracted. And the response was, I remember seeing earlier today, Ben Shapiro said something very similar. Okay, why would you send in the National Guard? Why would you do these sorts of things? Why just let Portland be Portland? Let Seattle be Seattle. Let California, always spell it with a K. Let California be California. Let them go.
I can tell you why you don't do that.
Let them do that.
Because just like if you go to, and I've been saying it since I think Saturday night, Trump listened to a California Democrat, 5 years ago, and he got impeached for listening to a California Democrat. So this time he didn't listen, because if he didn't do anything, it would have been, oh, look at that. He's shirking his duty. He's not helping. He wants this to happen. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
Well, and then I would have just, as soon as somebody started saying that shit to me, I'd be like, okay, I want an Oval Office address, and I want it ready to go for prime time. And I'd have just sat in the Oval and behind the Resolute desk and been like, you know why I didn't do anything in California? Because you guys keep voting for it. These are the things you're voting for.
You know, they're going to spin it.
It doesn't matter.
I know, but they impeached him for not sending in troops on January 6th. That's one of the reasons they impeached him. Oh, he didn't do nothing. He was part of it, yada, yada, yada. We all know it's bullshit.
Hang on. That's not why they impeached him. They impeached him because they said it was part of it. They couldn't impeach him for not sending in troops. He didn't have the authority.
No, he didn't.
Well, that's part of what they said. You know, he didn't do nothing. I mean, you just had Nancy Pelosi out there the other day screaming he refused to send out troops.
Yes, well, she just continued the lie again.
Right.
But
Maybe it's not the exact reason, but I'm just saying part of it is he didn't send it in. He was denied. He didn't send it in. That shit happened. And they went after him. If he would have got the troops there like he wanted,
he authorized them on January 3rd. That's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't that he listened to the wrong person. He gave them everything they needed to do. What nobody understands about how shit works in DC, because technically it is a separate entity from the rest of the country.
I understand that.
It is a city among
they denied it.
But that's just it. The Sergeant of Arms of the House said no. The Sergeant of Arms of the Senate said no. The ruling council in DC that makes that decision along with those two people said no. Those two people report to the head of the Senate and the head of the House. The head of the House was the one that said no. That's why she's been caught on video now 2 separate times within a few hours saying this is all my fault. But she keeps wanting to go back and scream and yell about how it's all Donald Trump's fault. So,
I mean, maybe I was explaining it wrong, but that's basically what I was saying. But he offered, she refused, Capitol Police refused, they all refused, and they tried laying everything at his feet. Tell me they didn't try to lay it at his feet. We're still walking this day. So if he didn't do anything now, they'd be laying it at his feet. He's in a no-win situation with everything when it comes to Democrats.
Well, he's damned if he doesn't. He's damned if he doesn't. I think it's time we start teaching these people to keep voting for this shit to take their own medicine is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you on it. I'm just saying, he would get hammered for that any which way.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lose-lose situation.
There were no less than 25 FBI informants. I won't say agents, because he did admit there were no actual agents in the crowd.
Right.
He never admitted how many. He couldn't confirm how many assets were in the crowd.
Right.
However, so there is a bit of a difference there. It's semantics for us, but it means something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and those folks, of course, were being mostly peaceful. Nobody's still been able to explain to me how people have gotten behind doors that require card key access either.
Well, and why persons would want to, during a critical vote, pull a fire alarm and then say that they didn't do it when all of that happens to be on video.
Fire Marshal Bowman.
I don't understand.
I had so much fun about him that day. I wrote like 2 or 3 different stories about him that week. It was
that was fun. But Democrats, leftists, and globalists seem to forget that we have the internet. I have the internet. I can find shit on the internet. And if I can find it, my 5-year-old cat can find it. Nathan. There were no less than, oh, that's right. Okay. So all this stuff is discoverable. Let's go back and find out if there's anything new going on right now.
Which is interesting. And fuel supplies continue uninterrupted throughout the country. It certainly does not seem like Israel has targeted an energy infrastructure. Al Jazeera says Reuters is saying that the U.S. still intends to hold talks on Sunday with Iran.
Yeah, I believe that's true. I believe that's still true. One of the things that Trump had said was, I kind of hope they don't do this because I'm still interested in seeing if I can spare this kind of stupid stuff going on. But they also had, as I was talking to everybody here, there was a little, I guess you could call it a questionnaire on this. And the question was, how long do you think before Iran decides that it's going to make a strike, a retaliatory strike? And in what form do you think it might take? Any thoughts on that, Rick?
Well, I mean, the last strike took them a few weeks to put together. I don't think this one will take as long. I don't think it's a matter of if, but when, because you have to understand how their mind works. they have been slighted on the world stage. They have no choice but to respond.
Yes, that's true. That's almost like face.
Pretty much.
Japanese. You must save face. Let me put some other stories that are in here. I think I played this or showed this already. U.S. told Israel it will not provide offensive support for Iran strike. I kind of tend to believe that, at least at this point, unless things get really stupid and silly and fattening. We saw that on the strike.
I'll be curious to see when they retaliate if we don't help with the defense.
Well, and the other thing, according to what Ted Cruz had said, and I believe, like I said, it was on Hannity, if an American is harmed in this, that places things in another category entirely. With if they're smart, parenthesis, no guarantee, end of parenthesis, Iran will leave that stuff and not attempt to do anything like that. Here's another story.
I don't know if you had a chance to check it, but that second link, I think, was Ted Cruz on Hannity tonight.
Oh, okay. All righty. I will look at that as I put this up on the stage. Israeli official, increasingly likely Iran's army chief and top nuclear scientists eliminated. Well, that's certainly a... Let me see.
Seemed appropriate.
Here we go. Yes. Let me copy this and move this over here so that I can play it. And yes, Rick, thank you for showing that. Stop it. And this is the one into which I was referring. And let me go back here. Producer, but I don't. So add the stage and go. Ted. Okay, might also help if I turn down the sound. Ted.
Enrichment level was too great. The breakout time was less than a month. They would have the 15 nuclear weapons. The Israelis are not lying about it. And I have to believe those people that believe in a caliphate, convert or die, and threaten to wipe Israel and the U.S. off the map, based on also being the number one state sponsor of terror. If they got the weapon, they'd use it. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. You're absolutely right. I believe this was inevitable, and it was rendered more inevitable today by decisions of the Ayatollah in Iran. Listen, President Trump has been clear for a long time that his red line is that Iran must completely dismantle their nuclear capacity, must disassemble their nuclear centrifuges where they are enriching uranium. And President Trump made clear they could either do so peacefully through diplomacy, or those centrifuges would be dismantled kinetically through military conflict. We're seeing the latter tonight. And this morning, Iran publicly stated no, they would not dismantle their centrifuges. And in fact, they said they would build more, they would enrich more. The Ayatollah made the decision, we are going to plunge headfirst towards getting a nuclear weapon. And basically, Iran gave the middle finger to President Trump. And Iran told Israel, you better strike us now, because if you don't do it soon, we will have a nuclear weapon. And when we have a nuclear weapon, this is a theocratic zealot who chants death to America and death to Israel. And they are building a nuclear weapon because they intend to be able to detonate a nuclear weapon in the skies of Tel Aviv or New York or Los Angeles. And so Israel is acting to defend themselves. And Sean, tonight, we should
Senator,
stand unequivocally with the state.
Okay, let me stop here just for a second. I asked this question of everyone who is on the show when we're dealing with Iran. And it's a question I cannot answer. There's a guy that I've had on the show any number of times, Jeff Dunitz. He writes for, or he used to write for La Haaretz. And I would ask Jeff, answer this question. Same question I will pose to you two guys now. What is it about Iran that makes Democrats, leftists, that creates a sympathy factor for Iran that makes those elements want to continue sending money, supplies. Why not only embolden Iran, but support Iran, send money to Iran, and then believe any fucking thing that they ever had to say? Obama supporting Iran, Biden supporting Iran. Of all the really stupid questions that I have, because to me it seems like, why would you? There's clearly something on the left in the water. It's the lead pipes. I don't know what that makes people, Democrats, leftists, want to support a terrorist organization that, you don't believe what they've told you for 100 years, that they want to kill the infidel. What part of that do you not understand, that you want to support them, and then you continue to embolden them? Oh, sure, we'll let you in for inspections. No, we won't. Then we'll continue to let you in to do these other inspections. No, we don't. And they never, ever, ever make good on any of their promises, air quotes. None of that. I get, 17,522 quatlus to anybody who can explain this. None of it makes sense to me.
I can explain their perspective to you, but I'm not going to tell you it's going to make any more sense.
Okay. Okay. Even a perspective I would appreciate.
So their perspective is much like the same one that they have with the Gazans. Gaza is not the problem. Hamas is the problem. With Iran, the people are not the problem. And by us not helping the people, then we may embitter them. You just don't understand. By us taking a hardline stance with Hamas, we're making the people of Gaza bitter. By us taking a hardline stance with the Ayatollah Khomeini, then we may make people that otherwise view us as people that may be able to liberate them someday, we may be turning them against us. When in reality, the truth of it is, again, if these people have one way or the other come to terms with everything that they've had to deal with, it's no different than Gaza. Gaza was basically turned loose by Israel. Said, you know what? You wanted your own place? Here it is. You've got it. Do whatever you want to do with it. Within 5 minutes, they voted Hamas in as the major part of their leadership, and then Hamas suspended all elections 5 minutes later. The same thing. So it's just this thing, and it's kind of what I'm saying with California and New York and everywhere else. If you really want to be a sanctuary state that bad, fucking have at it. I don't care, but you don't get any more federal money until you bring your shit in line. So it's kind of the same thing. I feel like these people have got to learn that they have to face the consequences. Even if it's not their consequences, they're still dealing with decisions their ancestors made, one form or another. And the thing that nobody talks about is when Donald Trump had our foot on the neck of the Ayatollah, the Iranians were this close to starting their own revolution and taking their country back. And then the election changed everything, and the money started changing directions again. And now we're right back where we always are. So for the Democrats, though, it's about, we can't watch the people suffer. That's not fair to them just because they've elected evil leadership. Yeah, I'm sorry. It kind of is.
I think based.
Well, yeah, it is all about consequences. It's about having to live with yourself and make sure that you live with the people that placed you there. And then if you don't like it, then the onus is upon you to make sure that you change it. But it's like in child abuse, the father customarily was the bad guy, abusing the boy or the girl, and the mother was the enabler. We're nothing more than another set of really moneyed enablers. And why would you do that? That it all makes little sense. I understand, Rick, what you're saying. And maybe I need to come to terms with the terms are no different than this. I cannot. Can anyone here reconcile? Since we're talking here, let me pull this stupid thing out here. And so now we can actually see it, anybody. So, yes, sir, go ahead.
I can give it a slightly simpler, straight answer. And comic artist kind of said it in chat. Iran, Hamas hate America. And that's why Democrats back them. And that's how I see it with how the Democrats act anymore and have acted for a while. They do not like this country. They don't like what we stand for. They want to change everything about it. And that's exactly what Hamas wants to do. Iran wants to do. They hate America. So therefore, they get along.
Yeah, I understand the concept. I would like to think that there's something a little bit more substantial than that. Mike in chat has said that Jeff Landy has activated the National Guard. And I'm assuming, Mike, that that's for tomorrow or the weekend. And if I'm not mistaken, Mike, you are in, I believe, Louisiana. And so the Louisiana National Guard has been activated. Let me go over to these now because I took time to put some of these things up. This was grand. Sackhead Sean did this. I agree. It's super winner right there. Best actress. But the other thing that I discovered after doing a little bit of a dig was back in 2023, Alex Padilla said this, no one is above the law. I also want to make this notation. Anna Paulina Luna, isn't she from Florida? Jersey?
Yeah, I believe Miami area.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the bikini chick. I remember her. Oh, sorry.
She has said something that's very important. And I was corresponding back and forth with the gentleman that was running for sheriff of my county last time around. And some people think that, yes, we need to go in and we need to make a stand wherever these protests and riots occur. Luna said this on June 14th, there's going to be protests all across the country that are backed by a communist group with ties to the CCP. I didn't have time to do that tonight, but yes, there is evidence to indicate that that is quite correct.
China is asshole.
The definite asshole. MAGA, she says, do not show up in gear. If you do attend and witness illegal activity, record faces and license plates. We will ask you to submit footage and information to the FBI. And this is the important part. This is orchestrated. This is all orchestrated. This is all paid. It's like a card. It's prepaid. And I want to remind people of that. It's true.
But
don't be sucked in.
Is this the event going to be a big, or is it going to be a big flop? Because they got themselves spread so far across, and they don't have the financial backing with the USAID or USAID, excuse me, money and all that.
They've still got some backing coming from somewhere because they're telling.
I didn't say they didn't have backing. I just said they don't have the normal massive backing that they've had in the past, and have, how many hundreds of cities are they planning for these protests? I know here in Florida, you're not going to see no goddamn violence, because you start that shit in the streets, it's going to end real quick. And I'm not trying to make threats. I'm not trying to be big and bad. I learned one thing down here. They don't play around.
Dude, they will feed you to the gators if nothing else.
Well, the other thing that is interesting, and I made mention on the last show, is don't think that there aren't leftist influences all over your state, no matter what state that you're in. They're there. You may say and you may crow. I can remember there was another gentleman that I used to speak to in Texas, probably 15 years ago.
Coming to Oklahoma. Bernie Sanders is going to be in Tulsa. I could not believe it when I read that shit. I'm like, first of all, I'm surprised he didn't pick Norman. But, dude's coming to Tulsa. I was like, the biggest communist in Congress is coming to Oklahoma. What the hell? So, yeah, there's blue stuff everywhere, guys.
Oh, yeah, without fail. Now, down in the southern portion of Idaho, the protests are going to be in Boise. Boise is where all the leftists from California, we spell it with a K, with money, came initially, probably 10 to 20 years ago. And then there's an adjunct city called Nampa And it's known that apparently those two cities are going to be repositories of whatever it is that happens from this No Kings thing on the
Real
14th.
quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, BZ. I got to
Sure.
correct myself because I was wrong.
What's that?
Cheetah, you're right. She is she represents St. Pete area, which is West Coast, not Miami area. I don't know who I'm thinking over in Miami, but I was wrong on it.
Okay.
Third time today. Damn.
Damn it, Jim.
But
in
here's
any
the thing,
event,
if I'm wrong, I'll admit it.
if I'm wrong, I will never admit it because mostly I won't remember that I was wrong. But that's a story for another day. There's also a rumor that in, when was it? It was before I moved here. In 2020, during the George Floyd riots, there was information that suggested Antifa was going to make some kind of a march or a demonstration or some kind of a presence known in Coeur d'Alene. And Coeur d'Alene is, moderate to leaning left a little bit, kind of like Sandpoint up in Nof, Idaho, even Nofa than me. And what occurred is there's stories about this and all sorts of pictures and whatnot. Well, apparently a lot of groups caught wind of the fact that Antifa was going to show up. And there were probably 300 to 400 people walking down Sherman Avenue in downtown Coeur d'Alene with rifles and handguns and made a rather large display. And it was said that, that was just a rumor. Antifa was never going to show up, you white supremacist fools. But even if they were, a display was made. And apparently on the 14th, which is Saturday, rumors are that they may or may not show up. The Kootenai sheriff has said, just let us handle it. It's downtown Coeur d'Alene, CDAPD. They're going to handle it. Just don't get involved in that kind of stupid stuff.
Well, it was just this past Sunday we had here in Tampa. They decided, I can't remember if it was Sunday or Monday. I believe it was Sunday. They were going to protest for Los Angeles to back them up. It started at 3:00 and it ended at 6:00. And that was and I've seen several protests down in Tampa, and it will start at the time they say they're going to start, and it definitely ends when they say it's going to end. And they never block streets. They never get in the way of people.
Well, and that's part of what I said earlier. Back in the day, in the 70s, in the 80s, when I was on the streets in a whole bunch of different organizations and agencies, I finally came to work for the Sacramento Sheriff's Department full-time in 1980 and then worked another 35 years. When we had protests, and there would be protests, not very big, not very frequently, but the gig was, even with the CHP, SACPD, Sacramento Sheriff, if protests blocked a driveway, you were arrested. If you didn't have a permit, you were arrested. If you blocked a street, you were arrested. If you got into the intersection, you were arrested. And we, the collective we, at least in California, when we spell it with a K, it just moved on and it progressed in that fashion to the point now where it's simply assumptive that if you're a protester, it's okay to block the sidewalk. It's okay to block an intersection. It's okay to block a freeway. It's okay to do whatever the hell. You have carte blanche because there just aren't enough cops to stop you. So is that a progression that you guys have seen in your areas?
I want to see them trying to block I-4 or 275. Sections of I-4 in my area and 275 are in the top 10 deadliest highways in the United States.
Oh, that's good, Pat.
That could be fun. They could be playing Frogger.
That thing wouldn't last that long. It really wouldn't, because you got people that are driving 80, 90 miles per hour down here. They're not paying attention at all. It's going to be Splatville.
But to answer your question, BZ, the closest to anything like what's going on right now we've had was during George Floyd. There were some protests and stuff in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa, and they did start trying to do some of the crazy stuff. And then OCPD and Tulsa PD and state troopers and everybody kind of cleaned that up really fast. And our governor's already said, because we're expecting some of this crap to pop off here on Saturday, at least according to this map, because they seem to think they're going to have like 4 or 5 different ones here in Oklahoma. And our governor's already said, if you cross a single line, we're going to come for you. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it does happen. It does happen here too. But I mean, everybody forgets that, Oklahoma City and Tulsa have done some huge gentrification because of their maps projects and everything else. And a lot of people that, that are, the fan of being able to live in a condo and have all the bike trails and the walking paths and all the things that all the people from California that moved out here really, really missed from California. They're slowly turning Oklahoma into California, one county at a time.
One thing that I saw and that I noticed, I was range master for my department, and before that, in the 80s, I went to
Hi, Kiwi.
Oh, hey, Kiwi Lass. Good to see you. I was on the EOD team, and I got sent to the Redstone Arsenal, and it was enjoyable as hell to watch shit go boom and bang. That was just a lot of fun until I realized that, they could call you Stumpy pretty soon if you happen to go through the wrong pipe, so to speak. Kind of got out of EOD. But then, as range master, things were brewing in the early 2000s, and the big push then was for LTL weapons, less than lethal. At first, they were saying, they're NL, not lethal, which was a misnomer because almost anything can be lethal. But I saw this brewing for quite some time. And now exactly what I thought, as a result of this, because it's in, leftist central Los Angeles, the point being, I've said for it at least 2 decades, 3 decades, that the goals of leftists and Democrats is to completely gut the ability of law enforcement in any and every city and state and county, the ability to resist riots and regain any kind of control of city centers. And the story that I'm going to show you is another step in that train, in getting there. Already in a whole bunch of agencies, and then I'll ask some of you guys if you have anything like this in your jurisdictions. Many agencies are already, at least in California, always spell it with a K. I don't know that much. I don't know the law enforcement people in Idaho. I'm not super familiar with that. But I can speak for California in terms of many of the agencies are proscribed from using ferret rounds. They can't use beanbag shotguns. They can't use 40 millimeter. They cannot use gas munitions. And now with the story that I'm going to show you, they want to prescribe and do away with LTL rubber rounds. And so my question is, okay, then what else is in your arsenal that you have to defend the people who damn near need defense?
A whistle.
They're paying their taxes for it. What are you supposed to use? Like, I don't know, harsh language. Well, you'll get written up for harsh language. How about sarcasm? You can't do that. Like finger wagging, what else remains? The point is to be sure that law enforcement lacks the capability and the equipment to regain control of a riot unless they simply possess superior numbers. Law enforcement will never have superior numbers. And I think that's the point. That's the whole point. To your knowledge in your areas, is there a push to get rid of those sorts of things in terms of riot control?
Not that I've seen anywhere, but I've been out of that game for a long time. So, I mean, other than it coming across it in a news story or something, I probably wouldn't know very much about it, but I haven't really seen or heard anything. It wouldn't surprise me if it was something that may be being floated in cities like Norman and Tulsa, because those are, I mean, Oklahoma City is liberal enough, but Norman and Tulsa are 2 really liberal bastions.
Tulsa, I would expect, I'm familiar with Tulsa. Norman, I am completely unfamiliar with.
It's a college town, and it was heavy Bernie territory a few years ago. So yeah, you can imagine what that's like.
Okay. All right. Let me put this up on the stage. The story that I was talking about. This is from KTLA 5, LA Advocacy Group, because here it comes, as you noticed. By the way, 310 people watching live. Thanks to everybody on a Thursday night. LA Advocacy Group calls for total ban on non-lethal bullets because some people got owies. I think did I show this last time? Oh, I don't even have it up right now. I'll get to some of those later. But the Los Angeles Urban Policy Roundtable is demanding an immediate and total ban on the use of non-lethal bullets by the LAPD, citing serious injuries and escalating concerns over public safety. So if you progress on this continuum and you remove the ability of cops to not just defend themselves, but to defend the citizens who pay them, there isn't going to be truly much left except an attempt to overwhelm, and that will never occur. So any thoughts, Rick?
I mean, granted, I know the chief of the Los Angeles Police Department would never say this, but if I was in their position and had that job, the first thing I would be telling these people is, fine, I can just have my people go back to shooting the people that are trying to hurt us.
Yeah. Now, what else is there if you're going to move? I'm sorry, Rick, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm okay with that. If you don't want us to use less than lethal rounds, that's fine. We can go back to the lethal ones.
Well, yeah. In the day, in the 70s, when I began, you had a revolver. You had dump pouches. We didn't have portables. We certainly didn't have MDTs, laptops, anything like that. We had CS, and we had a baton, a straight baton, hickory, second old growth. I remembered that from the academy. That's all you had, and your partners, wherever it was that they were. Yeah. So, and this also was an amusing story that I'm going to put up now. This is the mindset that we're dealing with. This is from Red State. You clued me into Red State, Rick, and now I consult Red State with a fair amount of regularity because I find good stuff there.
Well, I mean, I work for their parent company, so it's only fair that I pimp them too.
So this is an article whose lead was not buried. USA Today suggests rioters should only burn cars in an environmentally responsible fashion. What the hell is that?
That really seems like it should be a Babylon Bee headline. I'm not going to lie.
Exactly. It's like this falls into the category of I can't fucking believe I read this, which goes to, truth or consequences. Is this true? And the answer was for this, yeah. The thing that is the ultimate in hypocrisy is, and certainly true in all of California. Sorry, I'll always spell it with a K. Is the leftists and the environmentalists did not want trees cut or any kind of forest maintenance all throughout the state of California, and also for the spotted owl and salamanders and other little crickets and things like that. And to that end, leftists essentially are responsible for burning the hell out of all of California, which, as it occurs, completely befouls the air, makes billions of tons of toxic chemicals and smoke, puts that into the air, kills millions of animals, but they'd rather do that than any kind of activity to make sure that this doesn't happen. There is no proactive management of the forest. And I always thought, how absolutely stupid was that? Kibula said this was by design for a hostile takeover. I can't say as I disagree. Beanbags hurt. Yeah, I read that somewhere. Or words to that effect.
Hey, BZ, I got to get going, all right?
Okay. All right. Got it.
See you, man.
Take care, sir. Aloha. And so here we are. Let me see if we can put us both up.
And
here.
then there were two.
And then there were two.
So, interesting side note. When I got taser certified, you used to have to take the hit.
You had to get tasered. That's correct.
They changed that like 5 or 6 years after I got certified, and I was really pissed off. They still make you take the pepper spray hit. My training for that was fun because they actually made me go through it again when I went through private security training. And the guy that I went through that course with was a former highway patrolman. So his training that he did was even harder than the one that I went through the first time. He brought you out into the middle of a field, shot you, and then you had to not only navigate your way back, even though you could barely see. You had no idea where you were. You couldn't see anything. You had to find your way back into the building and find the milk that you could use to clean your face off. That was fun.
Well, you used to have to go into the gas house as well. You were going to get gassed by a gas munition. Everybody had to go in there with a mask and then rip off your mask as it was nice and gaseous, and then state your full name, your social security number. And then by the time you got to your first name, you were done, you were toast. And then there were plentiful amounts of liquid outside. You got to see what's happening with this right now. Turn this on and see if anything is.
And put some food in the air fryer and then come right back in a second. What I'm going to do also is put my headphones, take the headphones off for a second. I might pause a second when this happens.
Okay,
Joe Seals. Hold
I
on.
don't want to hear
I'm going to
him
pause for a second
about food or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
So I think also I'm going to wrap this up in the not too terribly distant future because I have things that I have to prepare for tomorrow, as a matter of fact. I'm going to be doing some very nice things tomorrow in terms of trying to spiff up the studio and the house. I thank 322 people watching live right now. I appreciate it all. And so, Rick, if you would, now you're doing a show tomorrow. You had a power issue, but you are going to be doing a show tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yes, that's actually, I went ahead and decided to test it tonight to see if anything would go nuts when I fired everything back up, and it didn't. So as long as it holds, I'll be doing a show tomorrow. So.
Okay, cool. And then tell everybody about KLRN, if you would, please.
Sure.
Other shows, because is Jeff doing a show this Sunday?
He may or may not. I don't know. Since it's Father's Day, he hasn't decided if he's taking the day off yet or not, and I haven't heard anything one way or the other about that yet. So there may or may not be a show for him on Sunday. There will, however, be a fresh episode of Corin's Reading Room because Corin's going out of town again, so we took care of that before he left. So, but yeah, as far as KLRN Radio, you can find us at klrnradio.com. You can find us on X at KLRN Radio. We also have a YouTube and a Rumble channel by the same name. I usually am involved in about 85% of the programming over there, one way or the other. Normally, I do a daily show Tuesdays through Fridays from 10 a.m. in the morning until 1 in the afternoon Eastern time. Tuesday nights, I'm usually part of the Manorama panel. Wednesday nights, I'm usually involved in either On the Air for America Off the Rails starting at 7 p.m. Eastern on alternating Wednesdays. If I'm not doing that one, then I'm pushing buttons for the Inquiry Crew. 8 o'clock is usually the Conservative Curmudgeon, but he's on summer schedule. So on that one lately, if it is not my Rails week, it'll be an hour of that one, or we could do 2 hours on the other on the nights that Inquiry is not on. And then usually I also do the Rick and Orty show on Wednesday nights. And then Thursday nights, Jen and Rick. Friday nights, usually He Said, She Said. Aggie's been on a hiatus. I'm not sure what we're doing tomorrow night yet. May just wind up doing another session at the watering hole. Haven't decided yet. Saturday nights, I push buttons for the Front Porch Forensics crew. And then every other Saturday night, Amish and I do Juxtaposition, which is our 2-week foray into the weird, the unusual, the unexplainable. And I also produce the show Corin's Reading Room for none other than Corin Nimick. When I'm not doing all of that, I also contribute to Twitchy.com, MisfitsPolitics.com, TheLoftusParty.com, and I also produce the Loftus Party podcast, which drops on Tuesdays.
What a slacker. God.
I know, right?
How sad. Okay, what I'm going to do, I believe, is because for me, you start at 9 Central, which is your time,
Yeah.
And that means it's 7 for me. So I'm going to actually try. I was so happy with myself. I got up at 8 this morning and I thought, hey, it's an hour into Rick's show and I'm going to appear. And then the power fairy came and visited and there was no show. It was so sad. And also, as a comic artist said, dang, dude, when do you sleep?
Second Tuesday of every week.
Yeah. Or as Warren Zevon said, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Dude, I have to give you props the other night for wearing the Lawyers, Guns, and Money shirt. Or the hat. Bring Lawyers, Guns, and Money. The first thing I thought of was Warren Zevon because that's actually the intro for mine and Amish's show.
Oh, I saw him 3-4 times. One was just acoustic only. Warren Zevon was a genius. Super, super guy. And if you guys remember, okay, who's Warren Zevon? Do you remember Werewolves of London, folks?
Yeah. That's the one everybody remembers.
Werewolves of London. So thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. And I will try my very best to see you in the morning. God bless you. Take care, sir. Thanks.
Have a great night.
Thank you. And that's it for me, boys and girls. There's an American flag. There's all the people who were in chat. Still 310 people watching live right now. And with that, strange show. Didn't go anywhere where I thought it was going to go. I had so much stuff prepared. I was just going to go boom, 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 boom down the line. And then no. Israel had to go and shell the shit out of Iran. But that's okay, because I still enjoy doing live shows. And my thanks to Jersey Joe. And my thanks to Rick Robinson. And I still have a couple of comments up here that I'm going to address. And Cheetah, I'm a big Zevon fan. The shit has hit the fan. That's true. And Kibilas says, take care, guys, and be safe. And me too. That's exactly what I would say to you all. I am always appreciative of your presence. And I am always appreciative of your watching and listening. Everybody, God bless. Take care. Be safe.